Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Elemental Hero Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This is an update to I want to call it the Jaden version of the Elemental Hero deck from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. This version of the deck will focus on the many different variants of fusions that Jaden ran in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, and being able to summon out all of them with the many different Elemental Hero monsters that we run in combination with some other spell choices to help with the consistency for the fusion summon. So the big play with this deck is it is 100% a fun deck. The play style is just, whatever you have in your hand and you can make that hero, go for it. That's how the Jaden play style went. I always believe Jaden just, whatever fusion he could make, he went for it for that situation. And that's what this deck is meant to do as well. Whatever elemental hero you can make with that opening hand, go for it. So we'll be doing a few test hands at the end of the video because there's not really a combo option you can do with this deck. It's more or less just whatever you open up in your hand, that's what you go for. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. We'll go ahead and start off with the actual Elemental Hero monsters. We're running one-ofs for all of them, not just because I'm pretty sure Jaden ran one of each, but just because consistent-wise, you can get them out very easily with other cards in the deck, so you only need one-of copies for all of them. So one Avion, one Burstinatrix, one Clayman, one Sparkman, one Blade Edge, one Necroshade, and then also, if we can fit on the screen, the one copy of Elemental Hero Wildheart as well. Now, one-ofs for all these, the only one that I am running two-ofs for the copy count is Bubbleman, and this is more for the fact that Bubbleman has a pretty good draw power option as a last card draw. So late game, if we open up just one Bubbleman for the search off of a fusion, later on that second copy could come up as a draw and give us another draw two to potentially grab another hero and a polymerization as well. And then for the actual hero, we're running a 3-of just for consistency as well. 3 copies of Elemental Hero Prisma. Just being able to once per turn reveal fusion monster from your extra deck, send one fusion material specifically listed on that card to the graveyard from the deck, and this card's name becomes that monster. So not only will it set up another Elemental Hero, but it will also be able to, just reveal a good majority of the cards that we run in the extra deck to then have this card copy the name of that hero also. And then we are also running 3 copies of King of the Swamp just for polymerization search. And King of the Swamp can also just help to copy the name of another card of a fusion material. So if we have the one fusion, then we can use this card just to copy the name of the other one. If we already have polymerization for the available cards to then be able to fuse into. Now for the spells, which take up the good majority of the rest of the deck, but they help for search power, setup power for the fusion plays, you name it. So 3 copies of polymerization. Now, if this was one card, I believe Jaden also ran one of, it might have been the case because he would use cards like Fusion Recovery or Rottweiler to add back the fusion card. I don't think he ever drew into a second copy of polymerization. If I'm wrong about this, do let me know down below. I just believe that Jaden at the time was only running the one polymerization because he had other fusion options as well to be able to go into, like Miracle Fusion also, which we are running in the deck, but still just 3 copies of the generic spell and 3 copies of the Emergency Call. Once again, just another card that can search out, elemental heroes that we need, specific one. It's not a once per turn, so if we open up multiples of Emergency Call as well, then we can just search out more and more specific heroes. The 2 copies of Miracle Fusion, just for the fusion option to be able to then summon by banishing heroes from our graveyard. So if we have the polymerization and 2 heroes in our hand, then we can use Miracle Fusion to then go into an additional copy. One of the big plays obviously would be to summon out our Shining Flare Wingman using Sparkman, and then the Flame Wingman that we make out of Burstinatrix and Avion. And then also the 2 copies of Favorite Hero. You equip only to a level 5 or higher hero monster. If you control a card in your field zone, the equipped monster gains attack equal to its original defense. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. At the start of battle step, you can activate 1 field spell directly from your hand or deck. You can only use this effect of Favorite Hero once per turn. And when the equipped monster attacks and destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can send this card to the graveyard. The attacking monster can make a second attack in a row. So the field spell we run is Skyscraper. It's just the go-to elemental hero card that Jaden ran as well to be able to make use of for some bigger hero hit plays also. the 3 copies of A Hero Lives, just more special summon power for our elemental heroes just by being able to pay half for our life points. As I said, with cards like Emergency Call, A Hero Lives, and then also Fusion Deployment, there's just a good majority of search we have to be able to get out a specific card. And just once again with Fusion Deployment, the reveal for the added search for being able to summon out that other monster. Also running the 1 copy of Ian Shuffle, just another way to grab and have draw power for our variety of hero monsters in the deck as well. With our other 3-ofs for special summon power being the 3 copies of Unexpected Die. We have 4, normal monsters in the deck, so plenty of special summon power in the form of this spell as well. With the 1-ofs for our spells being the 1 copy of Monster Reborn and the 1 Reinforcements of the Army, search power and special summon power back from the graveyard as well. And then the last play in this one, isn't really much of a Jaden use these cards play, but more just of a tech choice play to run for more fusion plays in the form of greater polymerization and then ultra polymerization. One of the fun plays, especially with greater polymerization, is just to be able to go into our elemental hero Tempest and then have this card have the piercing battle damage and the option to not be destroyed by card effects. So not only is it more protection for our elemental hero Tempest, but then the added setup as well for cards like Ultra Polymerization to then summon back resources to the field as well, to then reuse again for different fusion plays depending on what we summon out. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. For our fusion monsters, we're running the 1 copy of Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, the 1 copy of Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, the 1 Rampart Blaster, and then the 1 copy of Shining Flare Wingman, along with the 1 copy of Elemental Hero Steam Healer. The variety of what we can fuse into is the big appealing part of the deck, so 1-ofs for all of the variety of different fusion monsters we can go into, including the 1 Elemental Hero Darkbright, the 1 Mariner, the 1 Wild Wingman, along with the 1 Wild Edge, and the 1 Necroid Shaman. All, once again, just variety of different fusion monsters that you can summon out. And then the last ones being the Elemental Hero Tempest, which there are a couple that we did miss in the deck, so if you want to run them, by all means, do so. But the generics that I'm going for more or less just help with a little more power boost, being Elemental Hero Sunrise, the Shining, and then Elemental Hero Gaia, and Elemental Hero Nova Master. More generics you can go into, but if you wanted to run more of these specific named hero monsters, you can definitely throw them in these spots instead of these last couple generic cards. It's all player preference down to that point. And once again, as I said at the beginning of the video, for go-to plays in the deck, there really isn't any go-to plays because the plays you get with this deck are the ones that you make. So we're going just to, maybe we'll do 2 test hands because just we can see what we can make off of that summon. And it will go down to that play with how you combat your opponent with that as well. So then after you have your opponent cut your deck, you begin the duel. And our opening hand will consist of, let's see, we have some hero monsters, which the big concern obviously is if you don't draw into polymerization. I would say that is the one weakness of the deck. We have fusion deployment, so we do have the reveal for another fusion monster as well. And let's go into our turn draw. So we get the Bubble Man as well. So we can go for the fusion deployment, revealing the hero monster of choice that we want for that summon. So if you're in this scenario where you don't have the polymerization to use or a fusion card, then you can go for the reveal of cards like Elemental Hero Wild Edge for that special summon, because then at least with the Wild Edge play, you're getting out a level 7 hero monster, which Jaden would also rely on in the form of Elemental Hero Blade Edge to then be able to go into. And let's just go off of the play that we have for that summon as well. Like if we didn't have the fusion deployment in our hand and we did get lucky and open up the polymerization instead for this opening hand, just don't have that Jaden luck, sadly. We have fusion options here, but our big one would be to use the fusion deployment that we used with the Elemental Hero Blade Edge to then fuse it together with our option to either use the Plasma Vice if you want to run Plasma Vice in the extra deck, but other than that, we have the Necro Shade and the Sparkman play to then be able to summon out our Elemental Hero Darkbright using those 2 monsters for that play. Then we have the Monster Reborn play to summon back the Necro Shade, and we haven't even taken up our normal summon yet, so we can summon out the the Bubble Man as well for a full hero monster field to then be able to go into. And then the added difference for the defense and then destruction power that Dark Bright can provide against our opponent as well. If we're going in for the second attempt, the biggest thing is obviously just to shuffle the deck and hope to get the polymerization draw. So after, once again, your opponent cuts your deck for that play, and then you go into the draw, which we got the King of the Swamp off of this one. So we have that option to us, and we even drew the polymerization. So we can keep the King of the Swamp in our hand to be a substitute for a fusion play. But honestly, with what we have, we can go for the Unexpected Die special summon using this card. We can summon out our hero monster of choice. So I would say for this play, let's go for the Sparkman. And then from there, we can summon out our elemental hero Prisma. So we don't even have to use the King of the Swamp yet because we have the Prisma play to send Avion, copying the name of Avion, and then being able to use polymerization, fusing the Bubble Man with the Avion and the Sparkman to then be able to summon out our elemental hero Tempest using all three of those monsters to be able to do so. If you wanted to use King of the Swamp for one of the names as well, you could have done so and then have an extra name on the field as well. But that's off of the one play there. Going into the additional draw, could have gave you a card like Elemental Hero Blade Edge also, which if you then wanted to have the draw, let's say was Blade Edge, we can discard the King of the Swamp to then search out our additional polymerization play from here. And if you weren't comfortable on the Tempest play, you could always go into the bigger fusion play using the two monsters. Since you have two monsters with different attributes, you could summon out Elemental Hero Sunrise, and then from there, when it's summoned for this play, being able to add the Miracle Fusion from your deck to your hand. And then with Miracle Fusion and the many different hero monsters we've set up in our graveyard, you have plenty of other fusion options to be able to go into thanks to that spell as well. That's why I like running Sunrise. It just helps for more of that fusion play option. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just wanted to make an update to the fun Elemental Hero deck for the channel and just have fun making the different fusion monsters that you can summon out with this deck as well. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.